Street up, flat light. Street up, flat light. Street up, flat light. Down, Papa, don't you blow.
Hi, how you doing? Have you had a good week? Are you feeling well? Is everything not hurting? I hope not. Anyway, there you go. Welcome to the final part 15. It's a little sad all things come to an end, but there you go. You should have everything now to get your model all nicely set up. So we're going to go through the final parts now in this episode, and I'll catch up with you right at the very end. And if you could like and subscribe, that'd be super smashing great. See you there. So here we are. This is what you should end up with at the tail end. So obviously this end's connected. Don't lose that screw in the middle, that's important. And you'll end up with this. And just to demonstrate, that's level, okay. It does all work, okay. There you go. Loads of movement there, more than you could ever want. Okay. And there you go. Just goes to show you. So I'm now going to put on the rudder. So when it comes to the rudder, I can't really think of another way of doing this, another way of showing you this. So I'm just going to put it together, but in fairness, I've not stuck this down. This is completely loose, you know, there you go, it's completely loose, okay. But what I have done is, now that I've moved it, it's, you put a clothes peg on the bottom, so that now stabilises the bottom of the rudder to the fuzz. Okay, first thing you do. Next thing you do is you centralise the front half. Now if you're lucky enough, let's see if that's still in shot. If you're lucky enough, you've got two 90s, two engineers 90s, and you put that on the horizontal stabilizer, which means that that rudder is perfectly vertical, and you can look down. You look down it and see that it is. Then you get a pencil, mark either side of it, take the tail fin off, take a bit of film off so you've got some wood there to glue to, and basically use 5-minute epoxy and then put it all back as it is, and it gives you time to adjust it, and it'll go off nice and cured, nice and hard. So that's how I'm achieving the rudder. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Hello, I'm trying to get inside the box. Okay, well, we are near to the end, so tail is on. There you go, there's the tail. Put the nose cone on, okay? So it's getting that shark-like look. I have to put some black vinyl on the front air intake there, and also on the intake on the rear half of the wing, which I'll do a little bit later. But I'm getting a bit excited now, more like this. So what I might do, probably against my better judgment, is, well, let's put it this way. I'm going to put Chuck in the pilot's seat. Now, let's see, where's the blooming, there it is. So that's Chuck. Now, Chuck comes from a company called Real Model Pilots, and they have a fantastic range of model pilots, and I asked for Chuck and they gave it to me. They painted it for me. Normally I'd paint my own. If I'd been nice, I probably would have made a slight better job of it, but never mind. So there's Chuck. And you're probably thinking, what's the inspiration for Chuck? Yippee-yay-yay. Oh, I'm only joking. So chuck's got to go around about there, and we're going to put the canopy on, and just going to do a loose fit. So to me that actually looks about right. What do you think? I think it looks about right. Now the thing is, I'll probably use some 5-minute epoxy for chuck, and I might do the same or use wood glue to glue on the canopy. Do not use cyano. Just don't use cyano. The reason is that the gases from the cyano will evaporate and it'll make the inside of the canopy go white. You don't want that. You really don't want that. Plus, cyano can be a little bit brittle. So, you know, when you're handling the model, it can just suddenly crack. Next thing you know, you're shoving more cyano down it and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. So, that's my advice. So, there you go. Real model pilots. And why wouldn't you? Balancing. Getting your C and G right. Well, to get your C and G right, you have to look at the drawing. And if you look at the drawing, it'll show you that from this very front edge here, you go 88 millimeters towards the tail, and you mark it, and then you get your little stickers. Now the little stickers, I suppose I just have to show this. If you can see on there, those little black and white circles, they're centre of gravity stickers. So you apply them. You also need to apply them this side of the wing. Now I've made my own centre of gravity tool, which I just rested on the centre of gravity where I know it to be, and if it balances, then I know it's right. However, if you haven't got one of these, or you haven't made one, or you haven't got a spare wood, what you can do, and this is really for when you're in the field and you're ready to fly, is because you put the centre of gravity on the top of the wing as well, you turn it over, use your 2 forefingers, put them on the centre of gravity, and you can feel the stickers, okay? And then you just go like that. And then if your fingers are on the stickers, which they are, you know your centre of gravity is about where it needs to be. If you want to adjust the centre of gravity, all you need to do is take the cover off, move the battery, either forwards or backwards. Now, if you'll remember earlier on in the build, I put Velcro on there, and this is very unlikely to come loose, even though I'll put a Velcro bandage around it. So getting your centre of gravity is very important. It is better to have the model slightly nose heavy than slightly tail heavy. If it becomes slightly tail heavy, it will become uncontrollable. And you'll be very lucky to get the airplane down in one piece. If it's slightly nose heavy, it'll penetrate the air, you'll have airflow over the controls, and you'll have more control over the aircraft. So always just ever so slightly nose heavy, and you'll be alright. Okay, so we're not far away now. I have, you may have noticed already, stuck on this extra piece because it makes the profile. Actually, if I put the cover on, there you go, it makes the profile look a lot nicer. It really does. So there you go. Now I think the only thing I have left to do, besides setting up the radio, is to put the exhaust ports on. Now, you may get some smart arse out there say, oh, we've put them on the nose, you're going to make the nose heavier. Right, these weigh nothing. Don't worry about that. The only thing is, if you put it on as per drawing, it's going to be somewhere up here. Okay? And the thing is, you've got to be halfway between the cover and the fuzz. Now you could cut that in half and put that on there, but that don't work for me. I'm just not built that way. So I'm going to put it here and glue it on there like that. And that's what I'm going to do. So I think it'll look okay like that. So the next thing is to turn on the radio after I put the exhaust ports on and let it all set. Make sure I set up the radio, and this little lady is just about ready to fly. Now there's plenty of movement, so I have to apply what they call rates, because you want 4mm movement measuring from the wing root up and down either way, and you want, I think it's 13 or 14mm on the elevator. If you have too much movement, it's just going to go and be really quick, and you'll lose control of it, and that's not the idea. So we will adjust the radio and the radio. I'm leaving that in. Scared myself then. Where was I? So yeah, you have to use the rates on your radio because it'll make it more controllable. Now normally you have 2, maybe 3 settings depending on what type of radio you got, but by flicking a switch you go from full travel to say half the travel, and it'll make the aircraft a lot more easier to control. I can't stress that enough. It's probably wise to have less movement at first, and then if you feel as though you haven't got enough movement, you can flick the switch to full rates, and then you got it all back again if you feel as though you're not getting full control. But you'll have to be economical about how you use your sticks. So there you go. So I'm going to put the exhaust on after frightening myself, and I hope you got a laugh out of it, and I'll see you in a short while. Decals, or if you like, decals. Now I'm making my own decals, and this is the design I have come up with. I've decided to do an experiment in black and experiment in white because I'm not quite sure how it's going to come out on the tail fin. But what I have done is I've got the appropriate naked lady. I've given the registration, which is my birthday, which is the 25th of February 1963. So that's its serial number, and you have my logo, and you have usually have a number on the tail, so a lettering. So I'm going to put BF for Barren Flights, and just in case the black doesn't quite come out as I want it to, I've done it in white, and then I'll put the obligatory customized lettering. And the lettering I did in Microsoft Word Art. So all you have to do is go into Word, press on Insert, go over to Word Art, and you will find custom settings to make your own typeface. The young lady I pinched from somewhere, I can't remember where, and I spent half a day getting rid of the background, so I'm left with what you've got there. The logo is my logo, so I just altered it to make a circle, and that's all there is to it. So all you need then is some decal paper, and this is from Decals Limited. Now you have to state whether you want inkjet or laser. Okay, and it's Water slide decal paper, 2 sheets, clear, use on light items. Well, that doesn't weigh much. So that's what we're going to do. So what I have done is I've done a print onto a piece of paper just to size it up, and it's going to be about the right size. So I think I'm going to go with that. Now what you will have to do is, once you've got your design onto a Word document, you now have to copy that and paste it into Paint, Microsoft Paint, and save it as a JPEG. You save it as a JPEG because then this gives you photographic quality. If you just try and print it as a Microsoft Word document, you're going to have problems getting the quality that you want. So you have to save it as a JPEG, and that is really the only information I can give you that might be of value to you. One thing I've never discovered is quite why these numbers come out like that. Haven't the faintest. But you see, I'm not one of these kids nowadays who get taught all this stuff at school, so I've had to learn it all myself the hard way. So I'm now going to put that onto the decal paper, print it out. Then you have a spray, there's like a lacquer spray that goes over the top of it, which I will show you once I've printed this out. And I think you leave it to dry, and then you put it to hot water or warm water and apply it, and we'll see how that turns out. Well, I just thought I would share with you the results of my very first ever attempt at making my own decals. I've never done it before, so I think the best way to start now is what I've done is I've put the lacquer over the top. You put 3 layers of lacquer on, and I did this about 5 o'clock yesterday evening, and I let it dry overnight, so it's had well over 12 hours. So I'm going to cut. Well, let's have a look. Let's cut this bit out here. Okay, and I'm going to cut round it. I'm not going to bore you to death cutting round it. I'm going to cut round it, and I'm just going to try this bit to see if it works, and then carry on with the rest. And as I said, I've never ever done this before in my life. I don't know whether it's going to work or not, but I just thought I'd share with you the results of that effort. So I'm now going to cut round the name I'm going to put on the aircraft, which is me, the Baron Flights. We'll get some warm water and see if it goes on or not. Right, I have cut that out. I've got some hot water. I wouldn't say it's hot, but it's hotter than me. I like hot. Okay, so that's going to go somewhere like that. So let's curled up straight away. Okay. Now, from experience with your professional decals, you really need to, it's lifting off already, crikey. Wow, that's lifting off real quick. So let's see if it will slide on. Yep. Okay. Wow, look at that. Now I'll just grab I had some, oh here they are. Americans call these Q-tips for reasons I don't understand. But anyway, I do get the impression that they're rather delicate. Well, they came off real quick. They don't seem to have the strength that decals have where you get with kits. But it does seem to be working. I'm surprised how quickly that came off the backing paper. Very surprised. But what do you think about that? Yeah. It does look metallic in nature. Let's try the logo. There you go. Immediately this curls up. Like I said, it's not boiling water, it's just hot water. I wonder if it's a bit too hot. Let's see. I mean, that's only just a few seconds, so see if that will go on. Yeah. So even though after a few seconds, they will just slide off. Wow. How about that? The decal sheets have little to no instructions, so I'm just guessing a lot of this. Just seems to be a little bit of bleed in there. Let me just bring that up, see if you can see that. You see that? On the black, on the logo, that seems a little bit, so it's bleeding a little bit, but not a great deal. But you know, that's all right, I guess. I mean, it'll do for me. Shall we try the semi-naked lady? Thing is, where to put her really? It's I would have put her there. Hang on. Yeah, I'll just put her there. I'll put her there, I think. Yeah. What do you think? The trouble is, by the time you get to watch this, I would have already done it. Okay, let's put her there. Let's see what happens. So I put her into the water. The water has cooled down a little bit now. I'm going to take that out and try it, because the other ones were pretty quick. Yeah, that's sliding already. So I will say they slide off real easy. And what I'm doing with this is a rolling motion, but you'll see if you look at the cotton bud, or if you're American, the Q-tip, there does seem to be some coloration on there, so maybe it does bleed a little bit. I wouldn't say you get the greatest quality from them, because they do look as though they're bleeding a little bit. Oh, her leg's gone a bit wonky. Yeah, they're very delicate. They are delicate. There you go. So see what it looks like when I put the rest of the stickers on. I just need to share this with you. I'm now using cold water with the BF here, and it seems that they slide off just as well in cold water, but the problem is the ink bleeds. The ink does bleed, and I can see the ink dripping out of it. So you get this fragmented, almost camouflage look on the letters, and you can see that on the cotton bud, the ink's coming off. I couldn't use the white letters because in my stupidity I realised it's transparent, and you'd only get what looks like somebody's put a pen mark across the lettering, which is this one. I applied this one, I took it off again because it looked like a kid had put a biro on it. Here you may or may not see the lettering is, well, disintegrating, or the ink's coming out of it, so that's a bit disappointing. And I did follow the instructions. I put 3 layers of lacquer on it. But you know, I guess only God is perfect. So, and this is my very first ever attempt. I don't know if there is decal paper that is of a higher quality. If there's anybody out there can put in the comments the success that they may have had with their homemade decals, that would be really interesting to find out, to be honest. But anyway, that's how it's turned out. Yeah, of course these are vinyls. But the nose art, that seems to be not too bad. So I'll do the other side and leave it at that, I think. Put the whole thing together and see what it looks like. So before I leave the subject of decals, I've done the other side of the nose. That's come out quite well, I think. The tails come out a lot better than the other side, definitely. There's still a lot of bleed in the lettering, and you may not be able to see too well, but the water has gone sort of, I don't know, sort of purpley, so the ink does bleed out. But that is the finished result with the decals anyway, and I've decided I don't want to push my luck anymore, so I'll leave the decals with that. Please make comments below. Well, time for the radio. Now, I'm assuming you already know how to bind your aircraft to your radio, and you've given it a name. If you don't know how to do that, you need to go to your radio menu, or the, what do you call it, the instructions, and read up on that. But there is one thing I do want to bring up in this, and that is expo and rates, or rates and expo. Now this is the Spectrum NX8. I like Spectrum, some people don't. I do. I don't see anything wrong with it. But anyway, I've not had this radio too long, and there's lots of things about this I'm still learning myself. But one thing is pretty easy to do, and that is rates and expo. Now, what is rates and what is expo? So rates is the amount of travel you can put into the radio for your elevators and your ailerons. So in other words, if you are, let's say this is a mode 2 radio, which means that the throttle is on the left and that's the rudder there. So that's your throttle, that's your rudder, This is your ailerons, and this is your elevators. Okay, now the reason I've chosen mode 2 is because to me this is more like the real thing. It's a joystick, and you pull it back, the aircraft goes up, push it forward, the aircraft goes down, you bank right, the aircraft goes right, you bank left, the aircraft goes left, just like a normal joystick. The only difference is that this is your throttle, which on a lot of aircraft, I think, I'm not sure on the Mustang, but I'm pretty sure that the throttle is on the left hand side. So it'd be the same. You haven't got pedals for your rudder, so this would be your rudder. Okay, so there you go. That's basically your 4 channels, as it were. So why do you need rates? You need rates because if you sort of over bank, it stops the model from just flipping over, and it just gives a slight amount of movement rather than a lot of movement, which is why you need to adjust your ailerons and elevators to the recommendations, which I think is 13mm on the elevators, and I think it's like 4mm on the ailerons. And it slows it down, you know, stops that amount of movement. With the Expo, well, I don't normally use Expo, but I'm going to on this one. In essence, I think it could be explained better by other people because I don't, like I said, I don't normally use it. But what you do is, if you have this as 100% banking right, when you use Expo and you do this, it'll cut it down to, let's say, 50% movement. So it doesn't matter how far over you bring this, it'll only give you 50% movement. And it does aid in a more fluid, more gentle flight. It sort of helps to prevent you from doing stupid sudden moves. So you in other words, if you panic and you overcompensate, you just go like that, and you haven't got this set up. Again, just go, you know, and next thing you know, your model's out of control, you're panicking, and you're taking it home in the bin bag. So anyway, on the Spectrum NSA, all you have to do is, with the wheel, press the wheel in, go to DR and Expo, and I have chosen, you have to choose a switch. Now I've chosen switch C, which is this one, 0, 1 and 2. So in 0 you will have 100% rates, and in 1 you have 70% rates and 20% expo. So 20%. So on 0 you got 100% rates, 20% expo. On channel 1 you got 70% rates and 20% expo, and on channel 2 you got 50% rates and 20% expo. Now I've cut it down to half on the rates because I don't know how the model's going to react until I throw it into the air and see what happens. So I will very probably put this on full rates, half rates, and it's not going to do anything too drastic. Okay, I can correct it with a little bit more control to it, more subtly, if you like, more subtly. What you do though is, if you want to change any of these settings, you go down to, let's say, the aileron there, and this just does the aileron and nothing else. Okay, and I can change that, and let's say bring it down to 40%, let's say. So going the other way, 40%, 39, 40. Click it, and that's now at 40%. You will very likely want to have the same settings with your aileron, with your elevators. Click on elevator, bring it down, click on, take it down to 40, and there you go. And with this set, it just show you more or less how your servos are going to operate in here. So you have quite a shallow movement there. So I'm just going to put it back to 50 where it was. Now I have on some models changed it back to the aileron, not using rudder. Aileron, there you go. I have on some models brought it all the way down to about 30%, because the model is so fast it's difficult to keep control of it. But anyway, now the other thing you need to make sure is that you get familiar with your radio, and you make sure that before you even take the model out onto the field, that when you pull back on the stick, the rear elevator will go up, and when you push it away from you, the elevator will go down. Okay, that's really important. When you pull the ailerons to the right, this right hand aileron will go up and the opposite will go down. Okay, and then the opposite is true of banking left. So if you're banking left, this aileron will come up and the right one will go down. Okay, and if they don't do that, you need to reverse it, in which case you go into servo setup and you can go into here and you can reverse it. Okay, and just a little bit of fiddling around, you will actually get it absolutely spot on. Okay, so I think at this stage it's a case of saying, well, safe flying. I'll just put this back into the high rates. Safe flying, and I hope you check everything out before you go out to the field. You know, making sure the propeller is rotating in the correct direction, so therefore the airflow is going towards the tail. If you have any gyration with the propeller, then you need to stop whatever you're doing and balance the prop. Okay, I can't really emphasize that enough. Balance your prop, because these rotate at very high revs. If your prop is out of balance, you're going to have a mad problem. So it'll basically, the motor will shake itself out of the model, and quite quickly, and it'll just part from the model. The motor will go one way, your model will go the other, and it's good night Vienna. Plus the fact, if it's out of control, it could hit somebody. So there you are. So make sure that everything's set up before you go to the field. Make sure you've run the motor, it's going in the right direction, your controls are going in the right direction, your centre of gravity is correct. For long as your centre of gravity is correct and everything's moving in the right direction, and if you put some rates in to calm it all down, you should be okay. But always have somebody with you, because if you're going to fly, you know, there might be dog walkers about, stuff like that, something you've not seen because you're looking at the model. Plus, if you get somebody to throw it for you, that is a big bonus. Now, throwing is a right way and a wrong way of doing it. Think of it as throwing darts into a dartboard. You don't want to throw it up, you don't want to throw it down, you want to throw it level. Just do it level. Okay, if you throw it up, there's a good chance that the airflow will get underneath it, and next thing you know, you're looping the loop. You're throwing it down, you're very probably just going to go into the ground. Throw it level. Okay, make sure the wings are level and it's somebody you trust to do it. Right, so I think that pretty much concludes everything. Thank you for joining me, and safe flying. Thank you for following me this far. This is the final part of the video. Make sure you've got a pen and a paper and just write down a few things, because I want you to do a few checks before you take your model out for its maiden flight. Make sure you've got a spare battery. Make sure both batteries are fully charged, nothing less than 98-95%. Do a final check on your centre of gravity, make sure it's balanced with the battery in the model. Okay, don't do it with the battery out of the model, because it'll be all wrong. Balance it with the battery in the model. Make sure all your surfaces are working in the correct directions, making sure your props turn in the correct way. You need to do a radio check. Now this is when you get down to the field, but make sure everything's working before you even leave the house. Don't forget your radio. I've done it myself. I've got all the way there, forgot my radio. Make sure your radio is fully charged. get to the site where you're going to fly. If you've got somebody who can launch the model for you nice and straight like a dart, not down, not up. Okay, I think the prop spins clockwise when you're behind it, so it may want to travel to the right. Just be aware of that. You might want to put a little bit left in as it goes off. Just be prepared for that. It's just the torque of the motor. Okay. What else? Make sure you do your range check. Now a lot of radios will have a little button. You pull it back and that decreases the signal at least by half, I think it is. Walk about 30 meters away from the model. Make sure you've got somebody next to the model who can indicate to you what's happening. Pull the switch, move the controls, okay, and if they're giving you the thumbs up they're working, that's your range check. Very important. Okay, so you're making sure that everything's all set up ready to fly. Okay, you don't want to spend all that time and effort and money building this model to forget to check something. So take a pen, a piece of paper, and write down your little checklist. And that's what real pilots do. They go around with a checklist around the aircraft and they check everything on the outside on the real thing. Exactly the same thing for a model. Okay, so this is the part where I thank you very much for your indulgence, and if you could like, subscribe, and more importantly make a comment. That would be super smashing great. Thank you for watching the videos. I don't know what's coming next. I haven't got a clue. I never do until I do it. And thank you very, very much. You can, by the way, find me on Rumble. If there is an episode you can't reach or get at, or for whatever reason, you can get it on Rumble. They haven't got the same restrictions as YouTube. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye, happy flying, and good luck.